1,000 meters beneath the Pacific, where sunlight never touches, a shape sleeps. A titan from a forgotten battlefield. A fortress of steel, sealed away for 80 years. Its deck still lined with warplanes, preserved like ghosts in the cold black. Cut 2. Submersible POV. Floodlights sweep across a massive aircraft carrier hull draped in silt. Narrator VO. In 2025, deep-sea explorers finally found it. The lost supercarrier of the Second World War. A ship whose very existence rewrote everything we thought we knew about the Pacific War. Title card: Thunderous Metal Impact. The lost World War II supercarrier found. Hundreds of warplanes frozen in the deep.
Cut 2. Archival footage. World War II carriers launching aircraft, crew running across decks. Narrator VO. Carriers ruled the Pacific, floating airfields that could change the tide of war in a single morning. But among these giants, one ship was different. One ship was larger, faster, deadlier, and vanished without a trace. It was known only by a classified code name, Project Orion. A carrier decades ahead of its time, rumored to carry nearly 200 aircraft, radar systems considered impossible for 1944, and an armored flight deck rivaling the British Illustrious class. And yet, it disappeared, lost in an ambush, buried in reports classified until long after the war. Now, at last, its wreckage has emerged from the dark. Cut 2. Sonar scan slowly revealing an enormous silhouette. Narrator. This is the story of the ship that should have changed the Pacific War, the ship no one was supposed to find.
Dim 1940s Navy design offices, blueprints spread across tables, engineers smoking and arguing. Narrator VO. In 1942, after Pearl Harbor, the U.S. Navy realized something terrifying. The carriers they depended upon, Yorktowns, Lexingtons, Essexes, were powerful but vulnerable. Japanese torpedo bombers had proved that even America's largest ships could be sunk in minutes. The Navy needed something else, something bigger, something no nation had ever attempted. Cut 2. Classified blueprint labeled Orion Study 4B. The Orion-class design proposed a ship 1,150 feet long with a full-flight armored deck and room for nearly 200 aircraft, more than twice that of an Essex class. It was, for all practical purposes, a supercarrier, 3 decades before the world would coin the term. Military analysis. Displacement, approximately 55,000 tons, nearly battleship size. Armor belt, 8 to 10 inches. Flight deck, armor plating resistant to 500-pound bombs. Engines, 260,000 shp, projected speed 34 knots. Aircraft complement, F-6F Hellcats, SB-2C Helldivers, TBF Avengers, experimental twin-engine carrier bombers. Narrator. But to build such a behemoth during wartime required secrecy. Publicly, the Navy announced expanded Essex production. Privately, 2 Orion hulls were laid down under false numbers. Only one would ever be completed. Quote, fictionalized naval memo, realistic. Project Orion is not to appear on registry. Personnel assigned to Orion will be transferred off record. Completion expected December 1943. Admiral Ernest King. Cut 2. Dramatic rendering of Orion under construction. Welders haloed in sparks.
In early 1944, the ship left San Diego under extreme secrecy. To her crew, she was simply CVX. To the Pacific Fleet, she was hope forged in steel.
During sea trials, the ship exceeded every prediction. Top speed, 35.2 knots. Turning circle, tighter than an Essex. Deck operations, capable of launching 40 aircraft in 6 minutes. Pilots quickly called her the city at sea. Her hangars stretched the length of 2 football fields. Her elevators were massive hydraulic platforms that could lift fighters in seconds. Fictional pilot quote, Lieutenant Warren Hale. You could get lost down there, machines stacked wing to wing, mechanics crawling over them like ants. It felt like we were preparing for an invasion of the moon. Intelligence context. Japanese scouts reported a large Allied carrier sighted near Hawaii. Tokyo dismissed it as propaganda. No one imagined America had built something bigger than the Taiho. Image Generation Prompt, Chapter 2. Cinematic overhead 4K view of a gigantic World War II supercarrier at full speed in the Pacific. Deck loaded with Hellcats and Avengers, ocean spray crashing over bow, sunlight reflecting off armored deck, crew running to stations.
Narrator. The Orion carried technology so advanced it bordered on science fiction for 1944. Orion Radar Suite, AN-SPS-2 prototype air search radar, experimental IFF transponders, long-range surface radar capable of detecting a destroyer at 30 miles. But the most important innovation was the Combat Information Center, or CIC, a fully integrated nerve center, bringing radar, radio, plotting, and intel into one sealed, armored bunker. Years later, naval historians would call it the first modern operations center ever put to sea. Weapons innovations: 5-inch dual-purpose turrets, automated with new directors. Bofors quad mounts with remote assistance. 50-plus Ehrlichen cannons for close defense. Armored aviation fuel tanks, reducing fire risks. Yet even with all this, the Orion's greatest weapon was her air group. Scene: slow rotation shots of Hellcats being loaded with rockets, Avenger torpedo bombers being armed. Narrator. The ship carried experimental F-6F-6 Hellcats with uprated engines, night fighter variants with radar pods, and long-range scouts equipped with enhanced cameras. Fictional crew diary entry. The captain says we're the tip of the spear. The ship is too big to lose, too powerful to hold back. But in war, power paints a target.
In May 1944, the Orion joined Task Force 58, the most powerful naval armada ever assembled. She towered over every ship around her. Sailors from other vessels would stand on deck just to watch her pass. Fictional radio log, USS Bunker Hill, May 1944. CVX sighted off starboard. Estimated size larger than Essex. Crew in awe. Never seen anything like her. Her mission? Lead the massive air campaign preparing for the invasion of the Marianas. Strategic context. The U.S. plan? Neutralize Japanese airfields on Saipan, Tinian, and Guam. Lure the Japanese fleet into open battle and destroy their remaining carrier air wings. Japan's plan? Surprise counterattack using land-based planes, masked torpedo assaults, and a decisive, once-and-for-all carrier duel. The stage was set for the largest carrier battle in history. The Orion would be at the center of it.
Tokyo believed it could still win the Pacific. The secret was the Kido Butai, rebuilt around the Taiho and veteran pilots withdrawn from the Solomons. But Japan faced a deadly illusion. The pilots were no longer elite. Fuel shortages crippled training. Aircraft production lagged behind American output. Yet intercepted messages told them of a large new American carrier. It had to be destroyed. Fictional Japanese admirals quote, "The foreign giant must die swiftly. One blow will shatter the enemy's spirit."
Geography and strategy. The waters west of Saipan formed a vast battlefield. Deep ocean trenches, volcanic seamounts that distorted radar, frequent storms, and sharp temperature thermoclines hiding submarines. Japan chose this area for an ambush. The Orion was sailing straight into it.
Scene: dozens of U.S. fighters launch in perfect sequence. Narrator: on June 19, 1944, the Japanese launched their long-awaited attack. 4 massive waves of bombers and fighters surged toward Task Force 58, but they never reached it. American radar, especially the Orion's powerful long-range system, detected them 160 miles out. Cut to CIC, operators calling out range, bearing. Narrator: Orion's fighters were vectored perfectly into enemy formations. What followed became known as the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. Hellcats tore through Japanese formations. Anti-aircraft guns shredded survivors. Orion's pilots alone claimed 72 confirmed kills, 16 probables, 0 losses in first-wave engagement. Fictional pilot radio transcript. Blue Leader, tally-ho, multiple vowels, Angels 12, they're flying straight into us. God help them. Tactical map description. Cut to digital map overlay showing Japanese attack vectors from the west, U.S. carrier screen, Orion's cap interceptions, radar coverage arcs.